that LB came back with, and we're going to speak about it first, is
Chelsea.
Amorim. Yeah.
Let's cook Chelsea, lads. Let's cook Chelsea, man. Go on.
Chelsea for that first half performance. That's what we're going to cook them. They did lose to a Polish team that no one's heard of this week, but they did win at the weekend. No, but the first talking point of the show, and sort of a more of a question. I don't know what LB's view on this is yet. We don't really brief this before we go live, but is Ruben Amorim a fraud, LB? I'll hand to you.
I think that it is, to state the obvious, it has gone terribly, terribly wrong so far. Obviously, Europa League, that is still there. But in the league, he's statistically your worst manager since the 1970s by points per game. He's your 8th worst manager of all time by points per game. So, yes, things are not going good. I raised this as a concern for United when they announced the signing of Amorim. Now, just to put it clearly, I think Amorim is a good manager. I think he's a decent manager, yeah? But the problem that I had with that appointment is that Amorim plays a completely different system to Ten Hag, right? Now, if you look at some of the managers that you've had over the years, you had Moise, then you had got like Van Gaal, who played a completely different system to him. You had Mourinho, played a completely different system to him. You got Solskjaer, who played slightly different. Then you got Ten Hag, who played completely different. And now you got Amorim, who can play completely different. What happens is when you're chopping and changing your managers, but the managers have fundamentally different philosophies on how the game should be played, it's incredibly difficult for the players to adapt to the new systems. And I just thought at the time when you appointed Amorim, yes, I think he's a decent manager. I thought it was the wrong appointment for Man United at that time. I believe that United, well, first of all, I thought United should have sacked Ten Hag after the FA Cup final and just let him go with but that's by the by. I thought United should have appointed a manager who plays a similar style of football to Ten Hag, who's just better than Ten Hag. Because then you would avoid all this problem of having to implement a new system. Ten Hag, Amorim's going to need special players to play in this system. Yeah, there's very few managers in the world that play this 5 at the back. It's a difficult system. You need specialist players. You listen to the centre backs of like 20 years ago speaking on podcasts and that. They'll speak about 5 at the back. It is fundamentally a completely different job to playing in a 4 at the back as a centre half. You need specialist players. Your wing backs, again, have got to be completely different. They need to be energetic. They need to be able to get up and down that line all match for 90 minutes. They need to be good defensively and they need to be really good offensively because they need to provide crosses. You need workhorses in the middle because sometimes you might only have 2 players in that middle if you're playing with a 3 up to. It depends how you exactly is playing that system, but you need workhorses in the middle. I don't know, man. Like, for me, here's my conclusion. Amorim, factually, is doing a terrible, terrible job at Manchester United in the league, yeah? As I've already given you the stats and facts to back that up. However, I think that you, as a fan base and as a club, have to just ride the storm. You have to give him the summer. You have to go out there. You've got to give him 4 or 5 top-quality players to come into the first team, not the squad, first team, the starting 11. And then within the first 3 months of next season, you have to be seeing major, major improvements, both in the style and both in the actual results. And if you're sat there at the end of October, so he's had August, September, October, he's had 3 months. If you're sat there anywhere less than 7th, I think you've got a major problem.
Look, I think what LB says is very fair. I don't think there's anything that LB says that's ludicrous there or over the top about how Manchester United are performing, the job that he's doing and the squad that you've got. I, like LB, believe you need to play Happy Halloween now in 2026 and say that this is going to 2025 even, and say trick or treat. Because when you get to the 31st of October, I think that it'll be a treat. And you've been, this was worth it. We kept him, give him the summer. Look how well we're playing. We're in the Champions League places. We're in all competitions. We're looking great. or it's a horrible trick and you're going to have to pull the trigger and get somebody else in. Now, I can look at the squad, and I've been flip-flopping with this for quite some time, if I'm honest. LB will tell you, I had a show with him yesterday where I was talking about it. And if I'm honest, 1 minute I'm thinking he's doing a terrible job. Next minute I'm thinking, what can he do with that group of players? The next minute I'm going back thinking, actually, are they that bad? Then I'm going back again going, actually, maybe it's the squad. They're not that great. I'm really confused with it. Now, let me read out the players to you, because I did this yesterday on my own while I was bored and had some time. I actually do think that Manchester United need a lot of players. I don't think that's a silly, wild statement. I think it's quite clear that 6, 7, maybe even more than that, players need to come in the next couple of transfer windows to make you better. But I look at the squad of players and I might think, do you know what? I might not want the majority of these players in a first 11, but as a squad of 25, if they was to bring 7 or 8 in, let's say, like all the Man United fans seem to want to do, they're not going to have 25 players that will need to go and you start again with 7 or 8. How many of these players would actually be good enough to be into a squad of 25? Now, excluding the goalkeepers, because apparently all 3 of them are rubbish and no one wants the 3 of them. We look at the players that could be. Mazraoui and De Ligt are probably good enough to be in a 25-man squad. Lisandro Martinez and Ledy Yoro probably are. Luke Shaw and Dalot is questionable, but I don't think they're horrendous, right? Then you go into midfield with Mason Mount, Bruno, and Ugarte, Kobe Mainu. They're probably all good enough to be in a 25-man squad, right? And if you disagree with this, it's fine. It's just, this is, of course, my opinion. And then you look at Amad Diallo and Garnacho. And then obviously you've got Xerxes, who some people like, some people don't. That means that really, with 7 or 8 more and you keep those, you've pretty much got your squad there now. So you add the ones that you think are good enough for that 11. Some might say Kobe Mainu, some might say Amad Diallo, Leny Yoro. They might be good enough to get in that first 11 surrounded by the right players. That actually, within a couple of windows, that can change very, very quickly with Manchester United, which is why I'm with LB by saying if you can get rid of him now if you want, if you really hate him that much, I think it's just disgrace and rah. If Manchester United were to do what I think they're going to do and win the Europa League, that means you're playing Champions League football. You bring in 5, 6 players, you bring in another couple in that January transfer window. Ruben Amorim then has his 8 players, plus the ones that I've just said, they're probably good enough for a squad of 25 if you want to be going for Champions League football. It might not be good enough to win a title, but certainly to go in the right direction. Maybe things won't be as bad as Manchester United. Now, having said that, to flip it completely, that could be me looking completely positively on Manchester United and thinking, oh my God, what a delusion that he is. He's talking rubbish there. They've all got to go. Man United have got to start again and they need another manager. But I don't think we can say that now, Terry. I think we have to say that, like Mel Beer said, around Halloween time, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, look, I think both of you spoke a lot of sense. LB, to start with, I don't think it's a by the by that we kept Ten Hag. And the reason I say that is our owners have come out and admitted it was a really bad mistake. But again, we've gone through 20 years at this club without our owners talking to us. I'm quite encouraged by the fact they've addressed it. They've said it was a mistake. I like the honesty that comes with that. I also agree with you that I'm not saying it's the wrong decision, because we'll know if it's the wrong decision when Amorim leaves. Because let's say he does implement this system and we do buy the right players for it and we go and have a very good dominant period, winning lots of major trophies, then even if it takes a couple of years to get to that point, we'd probably look back and say it was worth the wait. But it could end up being a massive mistake. You're right. There is the possibilities of that. But for me, every manager we've gone for has been very different from his predecessor. We've had poor recruitment for each manager. And then you have this kind of Frankenstein squad that really is a mixture of players from 3 or 4 different styles of managers. And what we've never really had is an implemented system at the club, a style. Everyone's called us out for it. You boys probably on your shows, the media, and every Man United fan who's ever demanded a manager to be sacked has said, we don't have a set style of play. So you spread that over 12 years, no style of play, Frankenstein squad, no real direction as a football club. There come a point where you were going to have to start again from nothing. And we're seeing that. I think some people deluded themselves. I mean, there's tweets from United fans calling for the manager to be sacked now. But the same people 6 months ago said it's going to take 18 months to fix. It's going to be months of pain. We need to stand by this guy. I don't know what that tweet at the beginning was versus now. Like, again, that's reality. There are a lot of people that do that, I suppose, in life. Oh, you must have had a mate who's done this. Oh, bro, I've got your back. If it kicks off tonight, I'm there. The fight kicks off. You turn around, your mate ain't nowhere to be seen. There's loads of those people out there with yellow bellies. So I don't think you boys have said anything wrong.
But can I just quickly say, I don't think if a United fan is calling for Amorim to go, I don't think it's that ridiculous of a call when he's your 8th worst manager in your history.
So he is at this stage, but where I do think it is from if you're someone. So I've got a friend, Danny, big United fan, never wanted him, has always thought it wouldn't work. I can accept that opinion. I absolutely agree with you. If you're someone though that thought there was going to be a new manager bounce and we'd grow and we just look there'd be exponential growth between November and now you want him gone, I think you have seriously misjudged the state Man United were in. But most fans that were asking for previous managers to be sacked really just thought that was the problem, was the manager. They never looked at the more deep-rooted problem that you have just spoken about, LB. So wanting him sacked is fine, but it's more the reasoning. It's the reasoning and understanding behind it I've got an issue with. But if you're someone that literally said 6 months ago, we've got to give this guy minimum 18 months, a couple of big transfer windows, a pre-season, it's going to take years to fix us, to now be saying, I'm unhappy that results aren't there, I want him sacked, there's something not connected right there for me. I want to know what's changed your mind from someone saying it's going to take 2 or 3 years to fix.
What about if it's because they say they didn't expect it to be this bad? Maybe they expected it to maybe stay the same because Ten Hag wasn't doing a great job. Maybe they expected it to get a little bit worse.
Well, it has stayed in and around the same. What were we, 13th or 14th when Ten Hag got sacked?
I don't know. How many wins did you have when Ten Hag got sacked?
Not many, but we were a similar position in the league, barring it might be a couple of positions lower. So it wasn't like we were in I have seen people say we were in all 4 competitions and did it, and I'm like, yeah, but with Ten Hag have kept us in those competitions, maybe not. And look, it's fair. If people want him out, they can want him sacked.
He's won 6 games out of 22. That's the issue. Isn't it?
What I'm not hearing from people, though, is genuine solutions. And I do switch off and stop listening to any Man United fan that just say, find a better coach and have higher standards. Because those are the same people that have said that for the previous 3 or 4 sackings, and it hasn't worked. There needs to be I want deeper analysis. But when I look at the most recent games, if you look at the handful of games that have come through recently, sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. And I look at these matches, barring Newcastle, where they comprehensively beat us, the rest of these games, you've got 2 big mistakes from Onana against Lyon that stopped the win in 90 minutes. The amount of chances against Forest, City, and Wolves that we missed, that for me is a player quality issue, not a system issue, personally. Rasmus Højlund against Wolves, if you just put Chris Wood in our team, we win that game. You put I'm using Chris Wood because I don't think, as great a season he's had, do any of the big clubs in England want him? I'm not too sure. You put Chris Wood in the team against City with the chances we had, I think we walk away with the wins. So that's why I'm not fully buying into that idea that it's the system issue. I do think we need better quality. And the biggest problem we have is physicality. Wolves yesterday, the amount of times we played the right balls, but their defenders, managed to get to the ball before we did because we're not quick enough and fast enough. So I do agree with you, Potsy. I think investment in the right players this summer is key. But I think I concur with both of you that if we get to the October period and the win percentage hasn't, for me, what we're at about 25, 26% win ratio in the Premier League, that has got to jump to 50 to 60%. For me, that's the level it's got to jump up to. However, when I watch our games, and I watch every single one of them, am I seeing a team